Gentlemen, welcome to council for the May 20th, 2025. Down to business. I need motion to accept the agenda. Moved by Booker, second by Way. Any additions to the agenda? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. So we're going further. We know that Councillor Pickard is not here tonight. His surgery was successful, and he's hoping maybe make it to the next council meeting. But time will tell. He's doing well, so, and they hope he hopes to home tomorrow. Any declarations of any interest in the general nature thereof? Seeing none. Minutes of the May 6th meeting, to move in a seconder, moved by Gillis, second by Yipman. Any errors or omissions? Councillor Yipman.
On page 15 of the minutes, there's two references to bylaw 38/2025. Listed as the Oxford Christian Reformed School. It should be the Oxford Reformed Christian School. And that is also in report CL 27/2025.
Okay. Any other notes? Seeing that as amended, all those in favor? Opposed? That's great. Business arising, CL 27. Julie, please.
I don't have anything to add unless there's any questions.
Any questions from council? Seeing none, do we have a mover and a second to receive this information? Moved by Way, second by Yipman. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. First appointment tonight is Corby Kerwin. Corby, you want to come up to the table there? And this is around the concept drawings for Central Municipal Office and other assemblies. So go ahead and take us away.
Okay, so I didn't bring a PowerPoint or presentation or anything. The drawings have been going back and forth. We've been working on this approximately a year with staff in consultation with council as the drawings and deliverables have become available. So you've seen the stages as it's progressed to this point as well. So the last revision that staff had requested was to introduce the third floor and move the council chambers as well as the library and some future expansion space for the township office in the third story, as well as bump out the square footage further north on the footprint. So that's what we've reflected in these current set of drawings. And we had a review meeting with staff a few weeks ago and made some final adjustments and updates to suit those requests that staff had. So we're up to basically 25 fixed positions within the footprint for the township staff. And there's a variety of private offices as well as flexible workspaces in the open that we've incorporated in. The daycare footprint has remained relatively unchanged. We provide 5 different rooms for a total of 88 daycare spaces, varying in different ages across the standard model that we've seen through a bunch of the daycares that we've been doing in southwestern Ontario through different municipalities. The challenge with this site, of course, is the level access. So the daycare needs to have level access, and that's provided off of the south side of the site so that they have direct access to the playgrounds. So that's being provided within this footprint. And then the level access to the north will serve a vestibule and a common elevator and stair shaft to the second and third stories. So that was the challenge, to incorporate that into the site topography to make sure that we have free access for all stories. So that's being accomplished now. It's basically a depressed story or a half story below grade on that north side where people would come in and then they would go upstairs to the other occupancies. We shuffle around on the municipal level. We've pushed the lunchroom to the back so that there's more aesthetic sight lines for staff while they're enjoying their lunch, and put the less important items as far as window space to the inner portion of the building. So your vault and your mechanical, electrical rooms, things like that. So this layout provides staff with lots of open lighting and then window space coming in. So I think that's always nice for staff to work in places like that where there's a lot of natural light. I know that goes a long way with our staff. So that's what we've emulated in this floor plan with input from staff. And then the third story, we've got a council chamber. This is similar to the footprint that Zora has at their township council chambers. And the unique part of this is there's a expansion room to the north that if you do have a larger crowd coming into the council meetings, you can take a partition wall down and expand it into there. But that also would function as a committee room or an emergency operations center and can be shrank down if need be, obviously. To the south side of this floor plan, there's the library portion. And that's really just a wide open space with the central area for the librarian to work at. And then there's common washrooms through the lobby vestibule area of this floor. And then towards the left portion is just future flexible space for expansion to the township. So the next challenge is just working through facade and architectural side, colors, material selections, things like this. So our team has put together just a quick run at what that might look like. But again, once we get further down the road into onboarding a contractor, selecting more of the details and design finishes, bringing on an architect, that's where they're gonna bring in some more information and some of their strengths to the project and then making some of these aesthetics selections. Right now, the important part is getting the floor plan established. And I think staff's done a great job of bringing that, all of their needs to the table and getting it on paper.
Anything else you wanna?
That's-
Right now?
I did provide a budget estimate. That was one of the requests from Mary Ellen. So right now at this level, based on just the number of drawings that are available, it's purely just a per square foot basis at this point until you get a contractor on board and start detailing in and narrowing in on the scope. That's about as best as the budget can be at this point. So right now, it's based on contractor input as well as neighboring municipalities projects of similar scope. And that was based on $450 per square foot. And we have a total of 24,636 square feet between all 3.5 levels of this building. So that equates to 11.086 million is the high level budget on this project right now. And there are some exclusions to that, of course, with tariffs and contingencies, things like that are going on in the environment right now. Those are very hard to nail down. They're very fluid in the environment we're in, of course. But that's an excellent point to start for discussions and decision making.
Okay, questions from council? Councilor,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not used to looking at drawings like this on a regular basis. Could you just walk us through how the accessibility to this building is, or what would be the main entrances?
Sure.
How is the daycare kept separate from the rest of the facility? All those sorts of things.
Okay. So on the screen that's currently up, that's the north entrance. And that would be the common access for the municipal office as well as the library and then third floor of the council chambers would be. So there's an elevator there that would make stops at the second and third floor, so the township level as well as the library level. And the stairwell would also have access to those levels. The stairwell will also serve as an exit only off of the daycare level, which is a half story above this level. And that would be controlled by an interlock door that's only able to be opened from the daycare and not open from the stairwell, so it serves only as egress. And then the staff requested also a storage area in that lobby, so recycle bins, composters and whatnot can be stored on that level and then directly handed off to paying customers are coming in for those items. So on the south side of the building, if we go one more plan. Scroll a little bit further, yeah. So that entrance on that plan would be the main entrance for the daycare level. On the bottom of this sheet. And then the two doors, as you work to the top of the page on either side mirroring each other, those would be accesses to the playground for the daycare, both in and out. And then on the left side of this page, the next door up on the left side, that would be a staff entrance for the stairwell to go up to the township level. And it would also serve as an egress point from the third level. So all three of those accesses on this would be barrier free accessible, as with the one on the north, and then you have direct access to that elevator for barrier free access throughout the building.
any other questions? Councilor Thurston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In looking at the blueprints on the third floor, council chambers,
Yes,
the janitor's closet. I noticed it right away. And it seems to be taking a big chunk out of that section, the last section of the council chambers. So my question is, and I don't know if anyone else sees it or if they're concerned with it. Is there any place else that it can go so the council chambers can be just a little bit bigger?
Yeah, that's absolutely a fair question. There's still some fluid movement with this that's available. We're a long ways from having construction ready drawings. So we can certainly make adjustments to the floor plan to suit that. And there's maybe other spots within the floor plan that would suit that. Even the elevator, things like that, the stairwell. You can start to move things, but every action has a ripple elsewhere to the floor plan. So again, everything's still flexible if need be. But we started to zero in on certain items and then the other components that are required to support the floor plan start to block in, but again, are still fluid. So
Thank you.
yes, certainly.
Thank you.
Other questions? Councillor,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was looking at the final slide of the potential aesthetics of the building. This property has a fair amount of history to it. I don't know if you're aware of that. My hope had always been that we would have something that would sort of reflect the heritage of the building that was there prior. And don't know if you would have any way of answering that at this point, or whether that's even a possibility.
So all these elevations basically are placeholders at this point. It was purely to just give some scale and massing to the project and window position and different options that we can incorporate. So again, we were working with staff on getting some potential options of facades, finishes, material selections, colors. And it was important for us to at least put something on the drawings for council's review to understand door locations and elevations so that they had context to the floor plans as well. But elevation wise and finishes is very flexible at this point as well.
any other questions? Being none, probably just curious, on the play or the childcare area. Is there enough area there for the required playground, like exterior playground area that they need?
Yes, so there's a requirement that prescribes that area for, it's basically per child, there's a certain square meter per child that's required. I don't know off the top of my head what that rate is. But those areas of play are both dimensioned and the amount of area provided is sufficient for the requirements outlined in the daycare requirements.
And it would be on would the play area be on the east and west side of the building?
They would be on the southeast and southwest corners of the building, so they would be in more of the direct sunlight during the day and then the west in the afternoon. But I would propose to augment that with landscaping, trees, shade, things like that, so that there's both sun and shade play areas.
Okay. Oh, that was one. The other thing, as luck would have it, library board meeting today. And the facilities review that the library did, suggesting that looking at Mount Elgin, they might recommend between 4,000 and 5,000 square feet. And I think you have about 2,000?
Yes, 2,500.
2,500, okay, that's good. And so we had a bit of a discussion on it, just so you're aware. They're proposing 2,500 for Embro, but because this is, that's a village library, they're considering this a regional library and therefore probably even bigger. Looking at the plans here, I'm wondering, is it possible that the council chambers could be set up in a way that it could be also incorporated as a activity room or whatever? Because we only use council twice a month. Could that be like, I'm taking it, these aren't chairs and desks and everything nailed to the floor?
That's correct. The only thing fixed in this floor plan would be the similar desks and chairs that we have in this room. That would be permanent for staff and council meetings and council to come in because of the AV requirements that normally come up through the floor or through the walls, depending on the layout. So that there's no power and cables running through the desk to the ceiling. So those ones are the ones that are more fixed in place. But there's certainly perhaps an option to flip the layout so that that expansion area could become a dual purpose room.
That's kind of what I was getting to. Would it be possible to basically turn it around at 180 degrees to the degree, I think. With all of the equipment you need, you don't really want to be unplugging and plugging it back in twice a month either.
That's right.
Okay. Councilor, do you have another question?
Just if you can speak to the layout of the ground itself, like how much space is there going to be behind, like to the south of this building for playground area? Can you speak to that at all or not?
Do you have the site plan available, Julie?
The reason I ask is I went 3 weeks ago and had a look at the Zorro building, and that's gotta be the bare minimum for the playground. Because it is tiny. Like, it really surprised me how small it was.
So comparatively speaking, the playgrounds for this facility are very similar in square footage compared to the Zora ones.
Really?
We use the Zora model basically with regards to those requirements as the starting point for this. So there's certain flexibility to expand those, but at the cost of starting to relocate parking. Because we also have a drive around parking area for drop offs for parents coming to pick up and drop off their children. So you start to scale into those number of parking stalls. And perhaps you lose that drive around option that is currently provided. But there is some expansion possibility in the care playground areas if desired.
Could the building be shifted further north?
It could also be shifted further north and parking taken out of that area, yes.
So my understanding is that in this drawing, and I think it's the same in Zora, they have 5, I'll just call them rooms. But not 5 groups are at the same time.
So my understanding is there's 2 distinct play areas, one for the senior children, one for the more junior children. I'm not sure their official names. There's toddlers, there's preschoolers. I'm not familiar with all the age breakouts of them, of course. But the difference is, yes, there's only certain children in one area versus the other area due to the equipment that's in these playgrounds.
If there's, let's say, 2 junior rooms, one may be out in the playground while the other is still inside, so the actual number of square feet, I know they have to do it square feet per child. But I'm not sure if they actually operate that way, like they all go at once. They may, but it comes to
Well, I understand that, but I'm just thinking back to the daycare that my grandson goes to. And quite a few less child spaces in that daycare, and the playground is exponentially bigger. And they use it all, like those kids are bouncing off the walls everywhere.
Okay. So that's something to explore as well then. Anything further than tonight? Councilor Gilbert here.
No, I just thank staff, and I think it's a good concept to give us something to think about.
Anything else? Councilor Wade.
Clarification, what's the difference between a barrier-free washroom and a universal washroom?
The universal washroom requires by code the provisions or space for future provisions of a adult sized change table. As a code requirement now as part of the Ontario Building Code. So you just basically need to provide enough square footage that there can be an adult sized change table that can fold down within that footprint in that room. And not obstruct any of the other fixtures within the room.
And the barrier-free would be an accessible washroom.
That's correct, with your wheelchair requirements and circle for maneuvering.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Oh, Mary Ellen.
So just as far as council goes, we didn't want to proceed to the architect step until we had a meeting with council on this particular draft, because that would involve more money moving forward. So I guess what we do need from council is direction as to whether the components that are being proposed in this building is what council is looking for. We can certainly bring that to the next meeting, but we need to decide, council needs to decide what components will be involved in this build. And that certainly will help us as we move forward to the next steps. So whether that happens tonight or at the next meeting, to keep things moving along, just for your information.
Okay, any comments from council on that? Councilor,
From the library board perspective, Mr. Mayor, given what they're paying for the current library, are they going to be prepared to pay somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 times cost? For the
So I asked that today, to give me a range of costs of what they pay, because they pay us, basically what we ask for. They, but they also rent commercial space that's, is a little more expensive, so that'll be part of the next meeting. I hope to have the information by the next meeting. And then I think we need to have a discussion. I think they're quite interested in having a discussion on, you know, how does this work going forward? So, but I think we need to have kind of some background information so that we know what's the possible. Doesn't really answer your question, but, if you're looking at, 3 times or 4 times the space, I would expect that you're looking for at least 4 times your money. Okay. And I don't think that that's an unreasonable thing. I think that's the way the library works. Also, at the same time, there's a couple other municipalities, at least one other municipality, working on exactly the same thing. And so, there'll be some interest in what do they do there as compared to what do they do there. So, I think it's not like we're gonna be kind of alone on this one. Okay, anything further for this? Oh, go ahead.
So at this point in time, then, our next step would be, going to the architect, for some information, et cetera. You want us to hold off on that step until we have another discussion with council in June?
That would be my suggestion at the next meeting, gives council a couple of weeks to think about it and, look at it some more. And, if we do have a site plan, that might help, sort of picture it better as well. So, okay. Okay, well, thanks very much, Curly, for being here, and, we'll no doubt be in touch, so, thanks very much for tonight, though.
Very good. Thank you for your time.
Okay. So, it's 6:52. The next, delegation is 6:55. Yeah, we need 3 minutes to the, CEO 19.
And
Sorry, CO 10.
the CAO, report CAO 10/2025 before council tonight, following up a request from the Ingersoll Rotary Club for funding for the township of Southwest Oxford, for a potential, the capital upgrades, to repurpose the former Cammy Gymnasium building in Ingersoll for food and clothing storage for various community organizations. The group did not request a specific amount of money, but did provide a list, which is attached to this report, of estimated project costs for the different things that needed to be done to bring the building up to what is needed by all the committees. So the council did support the establishment of a centralized location that various groups could utilize throughout the county. And did request staff to provide a report on potential funding sources for an estimated $7,000 to $10,000. So having a look at the financial implications to the municipality, council was aware that council did not approve anything in the 2025 township budget for anything of this sort. But we do know that there are things that come up over the course of the year that we did not plan for. This, of course, being one of them. So if council does choose to proceed, funds could be utilized from a township reserve that will be grown actually in 2024, for 25 here, but it's 24. Thanks to surplus funds coming forward from 23, not 24, as within the report. So treasurer tonight has a report before council showing surpluses from fiscal year 2024 that are going to be applied, potentially depending on council's support of recommendations within that treasurer's report that would grow several of the reserves within the fiscal year 2024, some of which funds could be used to help offset this additional expense.
Any questions from council? Comments? We'll say, I did talk to, the chair of the, operations committee rather than the chair of the capital, which Ted Thomas is chair of the capital, Steve Tate is the chair of the operating. They don't have a budget finalized yet. They do have a bank account. They are operating through the Stitch Supper Club, which runs out of the Legion and provides suppers every Thursday night. They do have a set of bylaws, so they're working their way through it. And, but, he said he would send me the operating budget as soon as we had a final picture. They've kind of given, or at least they've kind of assigned Rotary's taken over we'll get the building up, ready to go, and then you operate. So there's a very distinct, two-party there. They have talked to United Way, and my understanding is that both United Way and Rotary Club are interested in helping, but there's no actual dollar amount. And United Way may be more of an in-kind support rather than a financial support. But I think first step is, I guess, get the building going. So having said that, I'm wondering if we should go to the appointment and then we'll come back, if that's all right with council. Okay, next appointment is for Stephanie Rodriguez. Are you here, Stephanie? No. And it is the exemption for the chickens. Julie, please.
Sure. So as you'll see in this report, we have received a request for a bylaw exemption for the keeping of chickens at property located at 584904 Beachville Road. This is a residentially zoned property. I don't have too much to add to the report. In reviewing this request, we have circulated to neighboring property owners. We haven't received any comments and concerns back, and we also reviewed the request in relation to the standard conditions that we would typically apply to these requests, and we are of the opinion that all of those conditions can be met. So with that, we are recommending approval of this request and happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Okay, any questions or comments from council? Council, yes, ma'am.
How would this application address the issues brought up in CL 33?
In relation to the disposal.
That's right.
So when we discussed that, I did look into that. The disposal of dead stock, it is regulated, whether it's on farm or off farm. So any person, what I'm asking for council direction in that report, that any person that receives an exemption request, staff will contact them and advise them of what the disposal requirements are.
So this is a step-by-step process. So step one is to grant the application if we decide to, and then step two is to have a look at the CL 33 then.
Yes, I guess the order of how I prepared these, yes. But that would be something that we would include as a condition moving forward. And we would also notify people that have already received exemptions for keeping of chickens in residential zones after we make that decision for CL 33.
Okay, any other questions? The staff recommendation is this one can proceed. We have a mover. Moved by Gillis, second by Gerson, resolved council county official doctors to report CL 20-2025 bylaw exemption request animal care and control bylaw. Stephanie Rodriguez information for the council approves the bylaw exemption request received from Stephanie Foreman to permit. Says Foreman here. Okay, Stephanie Rodriguez. To permit the keeping of chickens on the property located at 584904 Beachville Road, subject to the following conditions. Stephanie Rodriguez to permit the keeping of chickens on her property located at 584904 Beachville Road, subject to the following conditions, which is what I just read. Maximum of 6 hens shall be permitted, roosters shall not be permitted. 1 chicken coop associated run shall be permitted. The total footprint of chicken coop and run shall not exceed 10 square meters. The height of the chicken coop or enclosure shall not exceed 3 meters. Chicken coops or enclosures shall not be permitted in the front yard or interior side yard of the property defined in township zoning bylaw. Chicken coops and runs must be located a minimum of 3 meters from any property line and 22.86 meters from any residential dwelling on an adjacent property. Coops and runs must be constructed from materials with opening no greater than 19 millimeters. Must include a roof to prevent escape and mingling with wild fowl and must be secured against predators. Chickens must be kept for personal use only. The sale of eggs and there additional chickens shall not be permitted. The coop and run must be maintained in clean sanitary condition with all waste properly composted or disposed of in accordance with municipal waste guidelines. Keeping of chickens must not result in a nuisance due to noise, odor, unsanitary condition, or detraction of pests. Owners shall be advised that should any complaint be received by enforcement staff regarding noise, odor, waste disposal, or chickens wandering off the property, the township may issue an order requiring the removal of chickens and the revocation of the exemption. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, that's carried. Okay, we're on CL 29, it's, another care and control for chickens, Christopher Holt. No, here. Okay, Julie, please.
So again, this is another request that we received, this time in Sweeper for the keeping of chickens within a residential zone. We followed the same process, we circulated property owners within 120 meters. We did receive several, written notices of opposition to this request. I have forwarded this request to the applicant as well. I haven't heard, or I forwarded this report to the applicant as well. I haven't received any response at this point. Because this request will not meet the conditions that we've imposed for keeping of chickens, my recommendation is that we deny this request.
Good, any discussion? We have a post, yeah, we have a motion. Councilor Yigma,
I move that we accept the report and its recommendations.
recommendations, and second by Councilor Gillis. Result, Council Thompson says, let's talk to the Supreme Report CL 29, 2025 bylaw exemption because animal care and control of chickens for control is information and further council denied bylaw exemption request submitted by control for the keeping of chickens on the property located at 97 Ave North, Sweeper, as a proposal does not meet the required conditions established by council for such exemptions. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Noise bylaw, CL 31. You have anyone? Okay, we're going to have a private event, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Hi, how are you?
come on up. Julie, go ahead through the report and
Sure, so as we will see in this report, we did receive a noise bylaw exemption request. It is for a private surprise birthday party, which is why there is limited details within the report itself in terms of name and who this is for. But we have circulated to neighboring property owners. We've received no written concerns, and as such, we are recommending that the request be approved.
So it's already gone to the, around the pavilion area, to all oh, okay.
Yes.
I thought that you would accept the request and then I would take it around.
Oh, no,
No?
sorry, we notify in advance, so that
Okay.
if there's any concerns, they will let us know. We have not received any
Okay.
concerns.
Wonderful.
And
good. So, the June 28th, 7 PM to midnight. Any discussion from council? Oh, did you want to make any comments?
No.
Private person?
It's for Jeff Allison. You know Jeff. I think you know Jeff.
Any questions from council? We have a motion then. Moved by Gillis, seconded by Bookner. Result of council section, Supreme Court CL 31, 2025, noise bylaw exemption request, private event sugar as information, further council authorizing exemption to section 3.3 of the township's noise bylaw number 49, 2021 for a private surprise birthday event to take place on Saturday, June 28th, 2025, from 7 PM until midnight at 474379 Dodge Line. And further, the council will provide direction to staff, notify enforcement staff, and the overview of the noise bylaw exemption approved by council. Any further discussion or any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried.
Just had a quick question. I wanted to make sure that I had dotted all my i's and crossed all my t's. There also was a request that I fill out a special occasion permit. and that's all finished and accepted, and everything's fine.
I can chat with you separately about that. That's not a township process.
Oh,
It's an
okay.
AGCO. We just need to be notified of it.
Okay, so I did send that.
Yeah.
Email that to you.
Yes.
Okay, because I know Jim Pickard was, had said you need to do that, and I did that, okay. And that's it.
Okay,
Okay.
so if you have any other questions, just ask Julie and she can.
Okay, wonderful. I have your email. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Enjoy the birthday party. Next one is CL 32, North Bylaw exemption, Jesse Leduc, and Fern Road. Come on up.
No.
We have a report here. Have you seen this report?
Yes, we got
Okay.
that, yeah.
Julie, you want to go through the report?
So again, we have received a noise bylaw exemption request, for a wedding taking place at 565038 Carn Road. Following our standard process, we have circulated to township staff as well as neighbors within 120 meters. If there's any comments or concerns. There were a couple concerns from staff about the exemption request being until 2 AM instead of midnight. We have typically limited these requests until midnight. However, I do know that this is usually within villages, so we've often received requests like this within, the village of Sweetburg or within, there was another one in Folders at one point, but, it is within an area where there's more residential neighbors close by. In this particular case, I understand there's 2 residents, within 120 meters, and they will actually be at the event.
correct, yeah.
And other neighbors are about 180 to over 400 meters away. So I'm a little bit less concerned about the later request, but I'll leave that with council if you've heard anything else or if there's any other concerns.
The applicant, the recommendation here is that you can have amplified music until midnight. If you want to request council a later time,
Sure.
council putting in his recommendation, so.
All right, well, yeah, we're requesting to, for the reasons he stated, really no one lives close to where the actual site of the event is. Since the property line includes like the field and probably the gravel pit as well, like. No one really lives that close except for the people that are attending the wedding.
So the request, the exemption that you're actually asking for is 2 AM, not midnight.
As opposed to midnight, I think it was the bylaw that suggested midnight.
So, council just needs to note that when they're making, if they're making a motion. So, any discussion? Councilor Gill.
I think that's a reasonable ask considering the position of the farm where it is. And I would be willing to move that exemption to 2 AM.
And do you have a second word? Seconded by Wade. And the motion is result of council Spencer Silver documents report CL 32/2025 made by our exemption request Jesse Leduc 565038 Carno information further. Council offers an exemption to section 3.3 of the township made by law number 49/2021 for a wedding to take place on Saturday, June 21st, 2025 from 5 PM until 2 AM at 565038 Carn Road, further to council by direction to staff and by endorsement staff and the OPP of the noise bylaw exemption approved by council. And with that with the motion, Councilor Gillis, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, that's carried. Happy wedding event.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
okay. We're now down to the committee of adjustment. Oh, no, we're not. We have 7 minutes. So, Mary Ellen, you want to go back to the Rotary?
Sure. So just looking for direction from council as far as whether or not the financial recommendation, looking at surplus funds that are coming forward in 2023 would be suitable for the amount that council chooses. Should they wish to move forward with making recommendations.
And is staff recommending any one of those accounts? Which one of those are you recommending? This is your reason now.
I guess working capital is one I would agree with that.
Okay, from working capital?
Yes.
All right, and that would lead us back to the discussion. Staff recommending working capital reserve if you are going to make a donation, so direction to council. Councillor Yetman.
I spoke to this at the last meeting. I think this is exactly the kind of move that peers need to be making, working together as much as possible to avoid duplication. I think this project is worthy of our investment, and I would recommend that we take on the project of doors and windows replacement to a maximum of 10,000.
Okay, the second by way. Any discussion? So. The motion is up to 10,000, but for doors and windows replacement.
That's one of the items on your list.
Yeah, I know, I'm just, because if doors and windows are in at 8,000, we're only giving 8,000, that's your understanding?
Apparently, that's
Okay, if it's 11,000, we're still giving 10,000.
That's right.
Okay, I just want to make sure that everybody has understood that. Any discussion on the motion to update it to 10,000 for doors and windows? Seeing none, there's a mover and a seconder, no further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, that's good. You'll notify the Rotary Club? Okay. And it's for doors and windows. Watching the time, 7:00, all right. Then that brings us down to, disposal of dead chickens in residential zones. Really all zones, so Julie, please.
So this report is just follow up to council's requests at the last meeting when we discussed a couple of, or when we discussed conditions for the keeping of chickens in residential zones. Council did ask that we provide some information about how dead chickens are disposed of, so I did look into this. This is regulated whether it's on farm or off farm. So we are just recommending that council provide direction to staff that we notify anybody that has received an exemption in relation to how they would dispose of chickens, and that we make sure that it is clear that they cannot be buried on residential properties and that they cannot be disposed of through curbside garbage collection. And that they must be disposed of through a licensed dead stock.
Okay, questions on this? Councillor Young.
Well, I mean, effectively, what this report says is that you might as well not keep chickens. Really, because no dead stock operator that I deal with is going to want to go to a single residence for a single dead bird. When I put out my mortalities on our farm, I put out 9 bin full at a time, so it's usually about 250 birds at a time. And what I don't want to have happen is that somebody catches wind of my disposal site, which is off farm, and starts filling up my bin, and a month later, before I make a phone call to take care of my own one. Which has happened in the past. So.
Okay. Other comments or questions, Councillor White?
I kind of echo Councillor Yetman. And I think it's gonna be very hard to prove that they didn't bury a chicken in their backyard. Like the chicken would be dead in the morning. Within 5 minutes, they could dig a hole and bury a chicken and replace that chicken that we had, that they're not supposed to replace, right? I think this is a really tough bylaw to enact. Like a chicken could die overnight, like you say, dig a hole less than 5 minutes. And replace that chicken before anyone knows that a chicken had died. Which is one of the rules they have to follow.
Go ahead.
Just clarify, it's not a bylaw that I'm recommending. This is provincial regulation. It's regulated already. I'm just communicating to them what the rules are.
But it's our bylaw and officer that has to look after it, or who looks after this? Provincial regulate, who would come and inspect or?
I believe complaints would go to after.
Oh, okay.
So does anybody incinerate chickens anymore?
Incinerators will become not effective in terms of cost.
Okay. And composting? You can't compost chickens?
That's what.
The process works.
I know, but legally, I'm asking.
My understanding under the regulations, they are not to be composted or buried, and that they need to be disposed of properly to prevent the spread of disease.
Versus you can't be buried on residential lots. And that they have to be disposed of. can't be put into garbage or waste,
Right, it's not.
but I'm asking, can you compost?
You put them in your green room.
I don't know. No. So I think that's another thing that you probably should look into.
Right.
Because. I thought, well, I had no idea how chicken farmers in the area get rid of their chickens, but Council Yipman's answer is, you have your own private, facility to, and some kind of business relationship to get rid of it, so. In this case, nobody's gonna do that for us, for one chicken, or two chickens, so. So should we defer this? I guess we can receive the information, but the next thing would it be possible to find out whether you could actually compost it? I'm not suggesting maybe, but.
Okay, I can look into it again, yeah.
Okay. What does council want to do? I'm just suggesting something, Councilor Gillis.
Motion to receive as information.
Okay, we have a seconder. Second by Gerson, result, Council Township Circle, Sergeant Street, Court number CL 33-2005, disposal of dead chicken, no for don't use information. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, that's carried. I now have 7:15, and we go back to the planning. Committee of adjustment, so this is for Chase Purdy and Erica Clayton. You here? You come up to the table and then we'll, sorry. You'll see an amazing transformation here in just a second. All right, so, yeah, take a chair. So this is council, but in a minute, we're gonna be called committee of adjustment, and it's just a rule. So to do a minor variance or anything like this, we have to go into this committee. So we need to start with a motion to go into committee adjustment, moved by Brookner, second by William. To go into committee adjustment for the minor variance application. A05 2025. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Now, we have to wait for me to get from it. Okay, so we're now in committee of adjustment. We'll call the meeting to order. Motion to accept the agenda, moved by first Thurston, seconded by Yipman. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Any declaration of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Minutes of the May 6th committee of adjustment, moved by Yipman, seconded by Gillis. Any errors or omissions? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. So this is minor variance application 05, table 5, 2025 for Chase Purdy and Erica Clayton. And the way this works is the planner, Nora over here, will go through the report for council or for the committee. You'll have an opportunity to ask any questions or clarification, then you have an opportunity to make any comments you want, either support or oppose. Then we'll ask people in the audience if they want to make any comments on it as well. And then the committee will deliberate and make a decision. Okay, cool. So, Laurel, please.
Great, thank you, Mayor Mayberry, members of council, members of the audience and staff. I'm presenting minor variance A0525S. The owners of the property are Bob and Dallas Purdy, and the applicants are here tonight, Chase Purdy and Erica Clayton. Thanks for being here. So the proposal and variance requested, they proposed relief from 3 provisions of the zoning bylaw to facilitate a detached ARU on the subject lands. The first variance is to allow for a detached ARU, which is a requirement. The second is to permit an ARU that exceeds 50% of the gross floor area of the principal dwelling to a maximum of 1,368 square feet, which is actually 59% of the principal dwelling, where there's a maximum of 50%. And the third variance they're requesting is to increase the maximum distance of the ARU from the principal dwelling to 43 meters or 140 feet, where 30 meters or 98.4 square feet is the maximum permitted. The application is pertaining to 374436 Fulton's Line, which is on the map up there. It's on the east side of Fulton's between Clark Road and Carn Road. Thanks to Paul.
The surrounding uses are mainly agricultural. As I mentioned, the applicants are proposing a new ARU and it would be replacing the existing mobile home in the same spot approximately, which is 43 meters from the principal dwelling. And the mobile home will be removed prior to construction of the ARU, and the applicants have confirmed that as well. During the circulation process, there were no questions or concerns with this proposal. The notice was provided to surrounding property owners on April 23rd, and I did not receive any questions or comments from the public. So regarding the proposed increased distance from the principal dwelling, the maximum permitted is 30 meters. And the intent of that maximum is to keep the residential uses clustered together on a property and reduce the amount of agricultural land removed from production. In this case, the proposed ARU is replacing the existing mobile home. So it's using the existing location and related infrastructure in an effective, it's an effective use of land and resources. So it's not taking any agricultural land out of production. And I believe it will have less of an impact than if they were creating or carving out a new location in related infrastructure. With respect to the proposed increased area of the ARU, the zoning bylaw says that there is a maximum area for all ARUs of 50% of the gross floor area of the principal dwelling, or a maximum of 1,509 square feet, whichever is the lesser. So in this case, they're proposing an ARU of 1,369 square feet, which is technically 59% of the principal dwelling. So slightly over the 50%, but I'd like to note it's still under the maximum of 1,509 square feet. So although it exceeds the map 50%, it's still under the maximum square footage, if that makes sense. So I feel that it will still remain secondary to the principal dwelling and it's supportable. So staff are of the opinion that the variances are reasonable, and I'm satisfied that the variances will maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. The official plan policies do permit ARUs in the agricultural reserve, and the township zoning bylaw permits detached ARUs subject to meeting specific provisions. I'm satisfied that the ARU would replace an existing mobile home. The use is compatible with the surrounding land uses and it will have minimal impact. Also, the subject lands are able to provide adequate drainage, privacy, and amenity space. In speaking with the applicants, they have noted that the existing infrastructure will most likely have to be upgraded, the septic system, and they're aware of that and will be working with township staff to satisfy those requirements. So the proposal is consistent with the intent of the official plan regarding ARUs. So it's the opinion of the planning office that the requested relief for a detached ARU exceeding 50% of the gross floor area of the principal dwelling to a maximum of 1,369 square feet and a maximum of 43 meters from the principal dwelling is minor and maintains the intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and can be given favorable consideration by the committee, subject to the condition that the existing mobile home is removed to the satisfaction of the township. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Any questions from council? Not seeing any, so to the applicants, any questions or comments?
I'd just like to thank you guys all in advance for your time today. And we're really excited and we're hoping to get approved. This will be our first home together and yeah.
So you're in support of the,
Definitely, yeah. Yeah.
just want to be sure. Anyone in the audience want to speak in favor of the application? Anybody in the audience want to speak opposed to the application? Seeing none, back to committee's adjustment, any questions or comments? Councilor Buchner.
Yeah, just a reminder, we talked before earlier that this property can never be severed from the other house, so it's just a reminder of that.
Absolutely.
Okay, any other questions or comments, Councilor?
Clear that this is an upgrade in style of living on this property. The property is really well set up for it in terms of privacy and utilizing current services, and I see no issues with it.
Councilor Gillis.
I echo Councilor Gibbons' comments, and I think this is the exact reason why our council's been very forward thinking with ARUs, and I think this is a great use of that space.
Okay, any other comments? So interestingly enough, this, the trailer that's there now, the mobile home that's there now, was actually the very first granny flat down in Oxford County. And this council, so that's our council, do you remember that?
I heard about it.
I can say, I think it was my first term of council, probably 95 or 6. And interesting enough, I can remember thinking that I hope the Purdy's don't screw this up, right? And we have had 0 complaints or concerns about it since it started, which I've been incredibly thankful for. Because we worked at, nobody else had done this. We did take a step out and said, we'll try Granny Flat in a rural area. And I think they did exactly what they said they did. They made it over the years to the point where it is so private that most people don't even know the trailer's there, or mobile home's there. And so if you do as well on the ARU as the previous generation did on the Granny Flat, I'm looking forward to it. So
Thank you.
we need a motion though to get it through. Moved by Way, seconded by Dillis. And the motion would be that the Township of Southwest Officer Committee of Adjustment approve application file 805/2025. As submitted by Bob and Dallas Purdy for land described as Park Lots 11 and 12, Section 1, West Oxford, as in 3-1. I got it. Oops. As in 319-563 SPB 15535. Township Southwest Officer relates to relief from section 6.1 to allow an attached additional residential unit on the subject lands. Relief from section 6423, table 6423, provisions for all additional residential units to permit an additional residential unit that exceeds 50% of the gross floor area. The principal dwelling to a maximum of 127.2 meters squared. And relief from section 64.24, table 6424, provisions for detached additional residential to increase the maximum permitted distance from the principal dwelling to 43 meters. Subject to the following conditions, that the mobile home on the subject lands be removed prior to the construction of the additional residential unit to the satisfaction of the Township of Southwest Oxford Building Division. Any discussion? Didn't ask, Daniel, do you have any concerns? No, okay. Any other comments or questions? Being none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Is there an appeal to?
Yep.
Okay, yes, I did.
No, because it's an additional residential unit.
So there is no appeal. So when can they come in for a building application or a building permit? You would need a demolition permit for the trailer, and a septic permit, and a building permit. Would that be right, Daniel?
They can talk later, rather than Daniel right away.
So you can, there is no 3-week or whatever appeal process for that, so you can start tomorrow or you can start tonight, and it's willing to talk to you.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
okay, thank you, have a nice evening.
Nice meeting.
We need a motion now to adjourn the committee of adjustment, moved by, second by Yip, any discussion, all those in favor, opposed, that's carried. Moving back to the council. Okay, Kelly Elliott, come on up, Kelly. You're only 2 minutes late, which is pretty quick.
So that's pretty good.
Go ahead with the orders.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Beery, to the rest of council and staff. I'm excited to be here along with Adam, your Public Works Superintendent, to talk about the 2025 Municipal Public Works Trade Show that's happening June 4th to 5th at the Woodstock Fairground. For those of you that are not familiar with AORS, we're the Association of Ontario Public Work, Association of Road Supervisors. We represent municipal public works professionals from across the province. We have 34 local associations, including the Oxford County Road Supervisors Association. And we have over 2,000 members within those local associations. So we were excited to team up with Oxford County Road Supervisors Association to bring our trade show to Oxford County and specifically to the city of Woodstock. Over those 2 days, we have over 300 exhibits. We're expecting over 2,000 people into the area as visitors. Local hotels are sold out, and local restaurants and businesses, not just in the city of Woodstock, but in Oxford County as a whole, will experience that increased business over the trade show. We have partnered with Rogers Sports and Media. It's the first time AORS has done this to promote the trade show. So you will have seen possibly some advertising happening on City TV, Breakfast Television, Sportsnet, as well as we've done some advertising on some of the local radio stations in Oxford County to promote not just the trade show, but again, Oxford County as a whole. One thing that I do want to point out is this isn't just a municipal public works trade show as much as it's named that. Many suppliers for your public works departments are the same suppliers in the agricultural industry, in the construction industry, and drainage. So everyone can benefit from visiting the trade show. It is free to attend and it's open to the public. So you're more than welcome to drop in over June 4th and 5th to visit. One thing that's not in my presentation, but I think it's very important to mention, is that through the Oxford County Road Supervisors Association, proceeds of this event is staying right in Oxford County. The Road Supervisors Association through the Trade Show Committee voted that proceeds of the event will be donated between the hospitals as well as the food banks in Oxford County. So that money is staying right here and benefiting your communities. So we're very excited to have you. One thing I do also want to point out, just a lot of the advocacy that we've been doing at AORS has been geared towards students and getting them to consider a career in municipal public works and working for their town or their city. And so we've called that Why Public Works. And one thing we've done out is send out invitations to the local high schools to bring their students as a class trip to come to the trade show. We'll give them a presentation on what a career in public works looks like. They'll hear from one of the local municipal public works professionals on how they started in their career, how to get their foot in the door in the town or the township. And then they'll be able to go out to suppliers, and due to some sponsorships that we got, they get a free lunch as well as we cover the busing for the students as well. So it's absolutely free for them to attend. So again, we're very excited to come to Woodstock, and we hope that we see all of you there.
Okay, thank you very much, Kelly. Is the golf tournament?
Oh, yes, sorry. So there is the Ross Mackenzie Memorial Golf Tournament. Ross Mackenzie, for those that don't know, was a long time superintendent in the old Lobo Township and the old West Missouri Township. And so the golf tournament is named after him. It's 144 golfers at the Craig Allen Golf Course. Unfortunately, the golf tournament is now full. So, but we're excited to have that as well here locally.
Not sure, it's unfortunate you don't make golf. Okay, any questions for Kelly? Councilor Webb.
Yeah, times, what time does this event, the trade show start? There's no times like from
Yeah,
9?
so Wednesday is from 8 to 4 and Thursday from 8 to 3.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thanks very much for coming out, Kelly.
Thank you.
Nice to see you again. Okay, and to the drainage report. Daniel, did you want to come up and do the drainage report?
Purpose of this report is to bring council with the consideration of the engineer's report for the Codelez drain, section 76. Section 76 request for the Codelez drain was initiated by council on May 7th, 2024 to provide an updated assessment schedule for future maintenance on the drain. I'd like to introduce Thomas Jackson from Gaspard Associates to present the Codelez drains section 76 report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to present this section 76 report under the Drainage Act. This report for the Codelez drain was initiated under section 76. And the section 76 differs from many of the drainage reports we do. because the sole purpose of this report is to revise or update the assessment schedule. There's no new work as part of section 76 and no proposed construction under this report. This report was initiated because the current assessment schedule was deemed inequitable by the past drainage superintendent, and upon my appointment and review, I agreed with that analysis and for the recommendation of a new assessment schedule. The Catellis drain has undergone a variety of changes since the original report in 1968. There's a severance and boundary adjustment between the township of Southwest Oxford and town of Tillsonburg in lot 4, concession 10. I don't know if you have the watershed available at the end of that report. So the boundary adjustment and the severance requires a redistribution of assessments from the original maintenance schedule. And there's a missing assessment in the original report for branch A, making it inequitable to bill out for future maintenance. So that was revised under this section 76. And the town of Tillsonburg is proposing a new storm sewer down the west side of Cranberry Line up to the boundary to act as the outlet for the Catellis drain. So that requires abandonment of the drain across the town of Tillsonburg Road, Cranberry Line there, which changes the distribution of assessments throughout the watershed. So just to orient everyone, if you're looking at Cranberry Line there, the drain is majority on the west of Cranberry Line traveling north, starting as a 12-inch diameter tile at the outlet and ending as a 6-inch diameter tile in branch A and the northernmost point. To start this project, we start with redetermining the watershed boundary. So you can see the discrepancies between the two watershed boundaries, with the 1968 being the gray dashed line and the updated watershed boundary being the bold black line. And those are determined using available digital elevation models and then a site confirmed on site with an inspection. After the work was completed, we held an on-site meeting with all the landowners to review the work that was done in the revised assessment schedules. The ultimate purpose of the report is the preparation of the future maintenance schedule, what we refer to as Schedule B in the report. The schedule outlines the proportions each property would pay for maintenance work when it occurs in the future. But to prepare this report, there is engineering costs associated with which have to be billed out to the watershed. So the cost to prepare this report was $10,000. And the watershed only contains 5 properties: a town of Tillsonburg Road, a town of Southwest Oxford, a township of Southwest Oxford Road, and then the abandoned railway, which is owned by Oxford County, which makes it slightly challenging to build out the assessments with such a small watershed, but we did the best to keep our costs down. And the breakdown for cost splitting was large agricultural properties, which I deemed greater than 10 hectares, medium agricultural between 3 and 10 hectares, the small agricultural and residential, which was less than 3 hectares, and then the Southwest Oxford Road and the town of Tillsonburg Road. So the assessments for each category are 1,500, 1,000, 500, 1,000, and 4,000 respectively. That's all I have to present. I'm happy to field any questions from council or the audience.
Okay, any questions from council on this? Council,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For you, so the piece that town of Tillsonburg is proposing to abandon, that would be east of Cranberry Line then?
Through your mayor, the portion of the drain east of Cranberry Line will retain its status under the act. It's just the road crossing that we're proposing to abandon.
Oh, okay.
any other questions? So is the town of Tillsonburg running a drain up the west side of Cranberry? Is that what I understand?
Yes, that's what they
It
proposed.
basically catch the drain that's there now.
Yeah, it will cut off the drain and outlet it, I believe, south into the Swan's drain.
Okay. Right, any other questions? None? You have to ask if anybody in the audience. Since we're considering this, anyone in the audience, have any comments on this?
So is the drain east of Cranberry Road
Yes,
close? Is that gonna be abandoned then?
Not under this report, no, through you, man, not under this report. The east of Cranberry Road and under the Oxford County Abandoned Railway. Right away there, it will retain its status under the Drainage Act.
So that still has to be maintained?
It will still be maintained by the drainage superintendent, yeah.
by properties on that drain, will eventually pay the bill, including the township,
Correct.
the road chip, okay.
So what is the purpose of that drain?
Through you, man, that drain is just to maintain your outlet through the railway. And service that one property. It's broken down in the schedules that. That property is the only property that pays into that section of drain. And the thinking behind that was you maintain a legal outlet for future development or future use of that land. So you maintain a legal outlet under the Drainage Act through the Oxford County right of way.
So if that was to be developed then. And they'll have to do an assessment or study about the drainage for that property. Can that be moved or changed or what is the status of that drain?
Yes, as a municipal drain, it can be moved, it can be realigned. The important part is you have a legal outlet through the right of way there, so you have the right to
Southwest Oxford.
sorry. Through separate, you have the right of way through the. Abandoned railway there, so the drain can be moved, it can be abandoned in the future, but for future development, you have a legal outlet. Through neighboring lands to outlet your water. So there's no future agreement required for development with that outlet.
Any other questions on this? Seeing none? When we pass this under bylaw,
No, bylaw will be on June 3rd,
okay,
and that's, we're just accepting the engineer's report.
Okay. So we need a motion to accept the engineer's report?
Yeah.
Anyway, we have motion, moved by Way, second by Brookman. Oops. Oh, does anyone add or remove their name from the petition?
This was initiated by us, so there isn't any petition on
Oh,
in this case, yeah,
Thanks. Steve.
yeah, no problem.
hey, Daniel,
Yeah.
okay, moved and seconded. Result of Council of Township Surface Auction accepted the report attached to the appendix A to report DD 06-2025 prepared by Case Marks Limited, Associates Limited, and dated April 17th, 2025 regarding the codes municipal drain in accordance with section 76 of the Drainage Act, RSA 1990, chapter D17, and further the council approved a bylaw in the form prescribed by regulations with the engineer's report attached to it for the first and second readings by council, at which point the report shall be considered to be adopted and the bylaw shall be known as the drain section 76 provision bylaw. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's good. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're down to TR 05, 2025. That would be Brooke. Go ahead, please.
TR 05-2025 report is before council for the 2023 net surplus allocation, which will be transferred in 2024. The overall 2023 surplus is $686,000, $335.04. This has been broken out by department and allocated accordingly, as we have done in previous years. However, we can discuss any changes to the reserve allocations in this report as council wishes to do so. I can take any questions about anything specific within the report.
Okay, so some positives, some negatives. Counselor, yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just looking for the location here. Item number 2 talks about health services, a surplus of 24,000 and point C under item 2. Capital projects, 15,000 surplus, Mount Elgin Rec did not complete the adult exercise equipment. That project was reallocated to resurfacing of the former tennis court. That project on its own has not been completed yet. We're working on basketball nets. I just spoke to the contractor today that's working on making them. And so I'm just wondering how that all fits together in terms of funding.
Go ahead, Mark. So you remember, this is surplus left over from 2023, rolled into 2024, it doesn't say how you didn't spend it.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we're still clear that that project is ongoing and should have been wrapped up a long time ago, but hopefully will be done in the next few months.
So just because it shows up in surplus doesn't mean we're not taking it out. It seems to be the way it goes here, so. Any other questions on this? Well, is it normal for us to have a $600,000 surplus?
It's
10% of the budget, yeah.
yeah, it's high. If it was perfect, we would have zero surplus, right? So, but, there's reasons, like there are reasons for it. So.
Pull up your leg. Basically, I was gonna say, so is this, could this be attributed to the treasurer? An excellent job. Okay, that's really bad. Sorry, hope you see that. Okay. We need a motion then. Has anyone found anything in there that they do not agree with as to where it should go? This is staff saying this is where the money was surplus and therefore that's the reserves that it should go to. And then the recommendation earlier was take 10,000 of working capital made already. So, Councilor,
I would just make the comment that looking at the dollar figure that was thrown at us in the very first report that we heard tonight, that we direct as much funding towards that as possible, because that's way beyond what I was thinking.
So you're directing $500,000 and that's to that reserve already, working capital?
You're putting words in my mouth, but essentially, yes.
Yep. My hope is that next year, the treasurer will do as good a job. And we'll have another $600,000 or $700,000 in surplus. So, any other discussion? I agree with you. We want to put as much down as we can on that project when we get to it. So, any other questions or comments on this? Seeing none, do we have a motion then to approve as a recommendation? Moved by Buckner, seconded by Gillis, result of council attention to the charge receipt report number TRO 5/2025, entitled 2023 net surplus deficit allocation in 2024 as information, and further, the council approves the transfer of the 2023 surplus funds totaling $818,564.04 to the following reserves. And further, the council approves the transfer of $132,229 from the following reserves in 2024 to cover the following deficits of 2023. Any discussion for a net surplus of $686,335.04? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Consent agenda. Any discussion items or consent agenda? Do we have a motion for the consent agenda? Or not? Councilor Yitman.
No problem.
Okay, they have seconded by Councilor Way. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mary Ellen, would you want to comment on the question treasurer's discussion around strong marriage power meeting that you had a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, so both Brooke and I attended a virtual meeting by the Finance Officers Association, Municipal Finance Officers Association, over a 2-day period. There was an hour each day in regards to strong mayor powers. It particularly focused on the financial component of the powers, specifically the change requirements for budgets under the new legislation. That the mayor actually presents the budget to council. There's some specifics in relation to that we're going to be bringing back to council. So at the conference I attended this past week in Manette, up near Muskokas, there was a heavy discussion in regards to strong mayor powers. Again, presentations from OMMA, Ontario Municipal Administrators Association, and included communication in discussions with the province that what works and what doesn't work in communicating with the province. The negative is not really, it's like AMO's approach that they took in the letter that they wrote, the announcement that we had actually written to AMO about in regards to the approach that AMO was taking. The approach AMO was taking is very much in regard to how the province wants to be communicated with and what they will listen to and what they won't listen to. Same thing was reiterated at the OMMA conference. There was some suggestion of that on the Finance Officers Association as well. So there are things that we are going to have to abide by under the strong mayor powers in regards to financials, particularly the budget. How the budget's to be presented, there has to be more interaction with, and that's regardless of whether the mayor utilizes those powers or not, as far as the budgetary process is concerned. So there is some logistics that won't significantly impact this council. Just would like to start a little earlier, have more review with the mayor in advance of it being sent out to council. But anticipating not a lot of change, as long as we follow what's required under the provincial requirements for that without invoking the use of strong mayor powers. We just have to follow the legislation. So there is another Municipal Affairs and Housing is holding another webinar. We actually just got notification, I'll send it out to council that you can attend as well. In regards to strong mayor powers, once again. There's still a lot of discussion about it. We're kind of working through the weeds as to how it's what we have to abide by under the legislation and what the possibility is if a mayor doesn't go for strong mayor powers, which there hasn't been no indication of that here. So that's basically at this point in time. There's more information coming.
So under the legislation, your last comment brings up a question, Mary Ellen. If the mayor invokes strong mayor powers, is that on an item by item basis, or once invoked, it's there for the duration of that session of the council?
The mayors can choose what they utilize those powers for based on what's allowed by legislation. So there are different things that are permitted. The transfer of that, for example, to a deputy mayor is not allowed. So it's just the mayor, him or herself, who, if they choose to utilize those powers, they're perfectly within their rights to do so, regardless of how council feels about it. Basically.
And it's still on an issue by issue basis, though.
Yeah.
Good. Any other questions on this? Councillor Gills.
Kind of more of a comment than a question. So technically, if we abide by the policies as they're outlined, we're technically fine whether we use them or not. But there's nothing that's gonna stop us from saying that we think this is poor, we don't really like this idea, we don't really suggest that we carry it on this way, but that doesn't mean that we can't follow, the original suggestion of. Okay, we'll follow the policy and bring things forward in a time when people look at it, whatever. That doesn't mean we have to per se use it, and we can't voice our opinion saying. We think this is for representation of what the democratic rights of our citizens want.
Correct. The decision lays with the mayor.
That was scary about. So a couple thoughts on this. One is, you can't simply reject it because it says that, for a budget example, you actually have to, or you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to have consultation with treasurer or CA or whatever on budget, or then with the mayor. But I'm wondering, the 29th of May and 2nd of June, those two Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing webinars on it. I'm wondering if after that, we have maybe a better, they were just announced today, I think. If we have a better idea, because I think part of it is, first of all, we better be clear on our understanding of what it means. And while I agree with Councillor Gillis, I think this is a crazy thing to do. I just, for a whole lot of reasons. I would read, I think we can, sort of like, abide by the law, even when sometimes I don't like it. And I think this is a case of, it doesn't hurt to say, I don't like it. I just don't want it to hurt if we don't do it. And so, I can't imagine myself ever invoking strong air quality. I'm more than happy to let the majority rule. And whether I agree with them or not. So, but I think we need to be clear on exactly what it is. So, I'm hoping at some point we'll get maybe a mini report from staff on what are all of the implications. And then, and quite frankly, so just yesterday or today, I was to the point of, I was ready to write a letter. And now thinking, wait a minute to write the letter until I understand a little bit better so that whatever you write in the letter actually addresses what the real worries would be. So Councilor, I'm sorry, you wanted to say.
Yeah, no, my comment was not, the danger for this township is not who's currently occupying the mayor's chair. The danger is who could be there in the future. Right, and none of us knows who that's gonna end up being. Now, next term, 3 terms from now, right? And if this legislation is still in place and you get somebody in there that's hell bent on having their way, the door is wide open.
Well, the reason why I'm opposed, go ahead, Mariano.
And so some of the, the information, the MFOA, comments from staff who've been told, or shown me of powers in place, to reduce the length of their reports. Because the mayor wants things to move along without interference. So, so don't take a lot.
Just tell me half the story.
Don't take a lot of time going into a lot of details. And I'm quite serious about this. This is something, I'm not saying that everyone does that, but I'm saying that the fact that it happens at all is a concern. Strategy Corps did a really good presentation at the OMAA on this. They're an excellent group so I'm hoping to get a copy of those slides from that presentation. Because their approach to this was quite interesting, because they've been tracking things since the company formed over 20 years ago, as far as the changes in municipal government, municipal relations with politicians, staff, provincial, etc. So some really good information that I'll certainly share with council when I get it. But there are things that are going on, powers being utilized. The clerk and treasurer cannot be dismissed by a mayor under strong mayor powers, but the CAO can.
Yeah.
And
Public Works can.
yeah, there's positions that can be. And so that creates a whole full staffing. as to succession planning in organizations with people looking at moving up into certain roles where they're gonna be at risk. Like there's a lot of things that factor into this. So, but certainly there will be a report coming forward. We'll send out the information on the May 29th and June 2nd. Information from municipal affairs and housing. It will be a provincial perspective. Just so everyone's aware, but it is a perspective, so.
Okay, anything else in the consent agenda? Councilor Gillis.
So in summary of that, there's nothing stopping us from supporting anybody else's resolution if they were done.
What I finally feel like is, I don't have to write the letter and it being, or I write the letter, that will be clear enough to actually accurately address all of the issues. Because I think right now, there is a little bit,
Right.
and, I'm gonna post something on, make sure I'm posting the right thing, and to a certain extent, it's, you know, I might not like the law, but I'm gonna live by it. Pretty sure I'm going to be a strong guy. Anyway. All right, so we have a motion on the floor for the consent, right? Any further discussion on anything on consent? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, that's great. Accounts payable, the motion to approve the payments, moved by Way, second by Bookner. So the following accounts be approved for payment, accounts payable for May 4th to 17th, $250,859.72, payroll number 10, general, $57,104.12, for a total of $307,960.84. Any discussion? Councilor Yipman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for you to Adam. Adam, what's the fallout so far on the flooding of the Strip drain?
Go update. We've asked the county and there's been no update on it. You're talking the bioreactor.
Yeah.
That, yeah, no update.
Any other questions on this? All those in favor? Opposed, that's carried. Bylaws and agreements, bylaw 40 and 41, we have mover and a seconder, moved by Gillis, second by Way. And the reading would be Julie.
Resolved that the following bylaws be introduced and that they be read a first and second time. Bylaw number 40, 2025, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 26, 2025 to provide for adoption of user fee rates for the township of Southwest Oxford. This is the fees and charges bylaw. This is in relation to rental fees at the Brownsville Community Center. Effective in August. Bylaw number 41, 2025, being a bylaw to provide for stormwater utility and provision of rates.
Any discussion on either of those? Second reading, all those in favor, first and second reading, opposed, that's carried, and third and final reading, moved by Yepna, second by Bookner. And bylaw today.
Resolved that bylaws 40, 2025 and 41, 2025 be read a third time and finally passed, and that the mayor and clerk are authorized to sign the bylaws and fix the corporate seal.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, opposed, that's carried. Any notice of the motion? Any new business? We're going to be closed session.
No, I just wanted to mention about the annual.
Go ahead. Yes, thank you. I forgot about that.
Okay, so I've registered for AMO and I have a hotel reservation for AMO and I cannot attend AMO. So my first ask is to council, if anyone from council is interested in attending AMO, to let me know in the next couple of days. If not, then we'll reach out to have someone take someone else in another municipality take the over the reservation. And Julie's attending AMO as well. So just if you're interested.
So it's, anybody on council interested or able? It's in Ottawa.
I'd be interested, but knowing how things went last year, I'd better check at home first.
So you'll get back to Mary Ellen directly? I mean, directly to Mary Ellen, not to any, don't bother me with it, so. Okay, anybody else interested? Seeing none, okay, so we'll leave that up to you, Pete, and if you can't, then Marion's free to see if you can pedal it somewhere else, so. Okay, so now I think we're down to the council roundtable. And we'll start with Ward 4.
All right. This coming Sunday, 25th of May, the first car show at the museum on the Sunday. Hopefully the weather will be supportive of a good car show. The whole board meeting in West Rockford, whole board in Fulton on Monday night. Tuesday morning, I have Upper Thames. Tuesday night, we have the cemetery walk at 5:30. On the 31st of May, there's baseball buddies and burgers at the museum from 11 till 4. Lunch will be 12 till 2. I think that's it.
Okay. And Ward 1.
Well, Ward 1, pickleball nets are finally up. I don't know whether they're being used or not, but I assembled them last weekend. They are portable. And there are lockdowns on them, so it doesn't keep blowing with the breeze, so anyway, there is, one of the repairs that was done, the crack is reopened, so, Daryl's been in touch with the company, and hopefully they're gonna re-seal it. So, and that, and then, we have the community yard sale, I think that's the 7th of June. Other than that, been fairly easy going this week.
Good. Everybody deserves an easy week. Councilor Hill, Ward 6.
Ward 6, talking about community yard sale, it's in Beachville this coming Saturday, I believe. So that'll really slow the traffic down on Beachville Road. Other than that, I attended a community-led Ryan meeting last week. Thought it was a very informative meeting and a lot of good conversation come out of it by local residents. I thought it was well managed, and Darren and the councilor thought it was there, and I thought there was some good conversation had. So I hope that the meeting that'll be coming up Fulton's this Saturday. Great time there, is it 9?
10 to 12.
10 to 12? 10 to 12?
Yeah, I have 9 to 1.
I was hoping to be there for that, so it'll be interesting to see what that meeting as well. Other than that, I think everybody's been pretty respectful in that manner, so we'll see how that goes. Also, June the 1st, the Beachville Firefighter Association having a breakfast at the fire hall, 8:30 to 11:30 a.m. $15 for adults and $7 for kids, and preschoolers are free, so come and do lots and check out the fire hall. And Parker's also doing a raffle, and our own Paul Butner won a prize last year, so he should make sure he comes and buys another ticket this year. He's a lucky guy. So other than that, that's yeah, never know. But other than that, that's all that's going on there.
Okay, thank you. Ward 3.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start off with May 24th. It's going to be a very busy day because we're having the Engage and Inform committee is putting on the Squats Township Fair event. And it's going to be very busy. And the same day, I'd like to mention that Hilltop Park, we're gathering to do the, I was gonna say pop bottles, but the bottles in Mount Allen. So the time that you're collecting is in the morning, correct?
Yeah, or at the curb by 9, so they're going to start collecting at 9 a.m.
Okay, and we're gathering at 7, correct? In the evening to put them together?
No, we'll do it that day.
You're gonna do that, okay. I must say then, Adam, I'm not going to be able to attend
Okay.
because I'll be at the Squawks Fair. Thank you. And things are quiet in Selford. Haven't heard about any meeting with the airport. And I guess that's about it for one time.
Roast beef supper, the supper put on very well done. I thought, very good.
Thank you.
I love the roast beef, very good.
I'll pass that.
Good. And Ward 2.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not a lot to report in Ward 2 either. As I mentioned earlier this evening, Parks and Rec were working on getting the basketball posts and nets built and up. And so that's an ongoing project, and I thank the residents of Mount Olive for being patient with me on that project. Here's our hall board meets tomorrow night, and then another reminder about the community barbecue to be held on the 17th prior to the council meeting. Hope you all can make that. And my other hall board meets next week, Monday evening. Oh, and here's some of meets tomorrow night, by the way, plan for that event. And then my other hall board meets next Monday, and nothing to report from Long Point at this point in time.
I don't think I heard anything to report from the last county council meeting, but the thing that I'll let you know, so. Well, wish, Councillor Pickard, good and speedy recovery, so that, you get back and, let us know what's happening in Sweetville. Confirmation, there's no closed session, ma'am. Confirmation bylaw is next, we have a mover and a seconder for the confirmation bylaw, moved by Gillis, seconded by Wade. And reading of these,
Resolved that bylaw 42, 2025, being invited to confirm the proceedings of council held Tuesday, May 20th, be read first, second, and third time this 20th day of May, and then the mayor and clerk are authorized to sign the bylaw and affix the appropriate seal.
any discussion? Being none, all those in favor? Oh, that's carried. And we need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Yevna, second by Dirksen. The council adjourn at 8:10 p.m. To meet again on June 30th, 2025 at 9 a.m. Any discussion? All those in favor?